I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today we have another story and in this particular story, it is a college relationship where one person went to study abroad, the other knew about it, so he's suspecting she could handle it, and it ends up in a breakup. And this is one of those things. It's a breakup. It's circumstance. You didn't fuck up. Someone didn't lie to you. Long distance relationships are tough. And just because you think it's going to work out and you think you have a strong relationship, more times than not, especially if you're in your early 20s and your relationship hasn't been that long together, that has a lot to do with it too. If you've been together 4 or 5 years, 2 or 3 years, compared to maybe 6 months in that honeymoon phase, and you go long distance, it's much easier for the person to say, you know what, after a month or 2 months, I don't want to do this anymore. So let's get right into this. Hey coach, I'm a 20-year-old at college and my ex broke up with me 2 months ago while she was away in Berlin for a summer program. We had been dating for over a year, and while we were in school, everything seemed wonderful. By the end of the spring semester in May, there seemed to be no fundamental problems. Here's the important context. It was known that I scheduled to study abroad in Dublin starting September, so I would not be in the U.S. for 3.5 months. So she knew that you'd be away for 3.5 months. It's still confusing the way you wrote this, but you're upset that it was well known that you'd be gone for over 100 days, 3.5 months, and it still didn't work out. Well, let this be a lesson. Long distance relationships are tough. And there was no, you're not married, there's no promises made. And just because you assumed or she assumed that it would all work out, distance tends to eat at people, and someone in the relationship usually gets sick of it. It just happens. While she would be at school. When we were not at school, she lives in the city while I guess I'm in the suburbs. So there was about an hour of distance, so you lived an hour apart anyways. As I alluded to earlier, she was going to a 7-week summer program to Berlin starting in mid-May. Basically, we would have had only a few weeks between July and August to see each other before I went abroad. So you already had limited time together, which meant you were kind of in the honeymoon phases, everything was good. But when distance comes in between, it changes things. I went to her place to sleep over a week before she went to Berlin so we could see each other one last time until July. However, even though we had fun, the next morning she sat me down to talk and said that we should go on a break, but not fully break up. So she wants her cake and eat it too. She cited the physical distance as well as holding each other back during new life experiences as her reasoning. I think that's actually a really good reason if you're in your early 20s and you're doing what you're doing, and she's really self-aware about the obstacles ahead. So that is not out of line. She also said that she was very excited to see me when she got back and be intimate before I left before Dublin. So she wants to be friends with benefits. She wants to leave the door open on the relationship, but she doesn't want to hold each of you back to hooking up with other people. And she said it in a nice, kind way. And you can accept that or not accept it. That's your call. She said that she thought it was best way to make our relationship work for the long run. I think she had good intentions. As I left, she was visibly upset. Oh, it probably wasn't easy for her to make that call. We remained in contact while she was away, and it seemed like nothing had changed. But she stated that she was leaving the door open to hook up with other people, is what I'm thinking, the way she put that to you. She still said she loved me, initiated conversations, and we talked daily. Yet there were times when we fought, and she clearly didn't want to deal with it. I would also have episodes where I got clingy and needy and poured my heart out. That's not attractive as a man. Finally, after a minor disagreement we had, she called for a 1 week of not talking. She's running the show. You do realize that, right? She's in the driver's seat. That's completely fine if that's the way you like your relationships ran. A few days later, she broke up with me on FaceTime. Since then, at least it was face-to-face and not text. Since then, I implemented a strict no contact, and I've never reached out. She reached out to tell me good news a week ago and a week and a half later, but I was polite and didn't extend conversation. All right. You're done. You want to be boyfriend, girlfriend, or nothing, right? 3 weeks later, she reached out saying she would love to meet up. Initially, I was busy, but time opened up. After small talk, she asked to be friends, but I told her I could not do that and that I would be open to exploring some form of intimate relationship if she changed her mind. So you're leaving the door open for her. You're letting her know you're still interested, but you don't want to be friends. Way to be upfront, man. She was visibly upset by my decision and gave me a big goodbye hug and was on the brink of tears. She cares about you. She loves you probably, but you're at a difficult time in your early 20s where you're putting school first, it sounds like, because you're both in school programs. Ever since then, I've done no contact, and she's been watching my Snap stories and liking my Facebook posts. She's still interested. She still has some sort of attachment to you. It's been 2 months since the official breakup. I really loved her, but know that right now, there's not much I can do given my situation. I think you're correct. I agree. What should be my plan to maximize my chances of rekindling in January? What do you think she's thinking? Okay, let's start with the first one. I would say that being that you've been in no contact, you weren't needy and clingy, she's still showing interest on social media. Now, some people are going to say, oh, I always tell people to cut people out on social media. If you want to keep social media up and you're not stalking them or going about looking at their pictures and wondering what they're doing, it's fine. It just becomes a problem when other people are looking at pictures and putting together stories and getting angry about it. So I would say in January, if you wanted to reach out to her and do like you did before, polite, to the point, and you're starting a new relationship over again, you're not going on the old one, you don't bring up old shit, you're going out to have fun. She sounds like someone that's independent and doesn't like a lot of pressure on a relationship. So if you did get a date with her in January to hang out, make it light, have fun. It's like a first date all over again. You weren't together that long, it sounds like, so don't put a lot of pressure on it. And be prepared that if she's seeing someone else or she's not interested, that you can deal with that. Go into it with an attitude of you can't lose either way. So what do you think she is thinking? I have no idea. People ask me this a lot. If she's following your Facebook and your Snapchat stories, she obviously is still a bit attached to you or interested. The fact that she was on the brink of tears both times you broke up says she really cared about you and loved you. She seems like a smart woman in that she's upfront with her feelings. So I think you'll be able to read that once you meet up or have contact with her again. I believe distance played a role. It played an absolute role. But she also said that we weren't super compatible. Well, that's something that you didn't really talk about, what wasn't compatible. That means your values were different. I also think her parents played a role in her decision by giving her advice even though they liked me. Well, parents are never going away. They're always going to be a part of the equation, especially for people in their early 20s. If her parents are highly impressionable on her, that's not going to change. But I will say you did write, I think, so you don't know. You're just assuming that. So I wouldn't put a lot of stock into that until you actually know. And right now you're apart, so it doesn't really matter. I've continued to improve myself, which has been my priority during no contact. Good for you. You continue to improve yourself. Hopefully you've been going to the gym. You've been, going to school, getting good grades, and that's attractive, and you haven't been clingy and you stayed in no contact. So if you do choose to reach out to her, she chooses to reach out to you in January, and you go out, keep it light, have fun, talk about, your school and whatnot, but don't bring up any of the past shit, the breakups. You're on to a new chapter, and maybe you guys can rekindle this thing. But I will say this, if you're planning on going back into a long-distance relationship, be prepared that she just wants to hook up for the moment. She seems like she's present moment based and you're looking long term, and that can affect things. I talk about this book a lot, the time paradox. Some people are in the past, some people are in the present, some people are in the future. Sounds like she's primarily in the future. I don't really know. You didn't discuss too much how you look at things. Future-based people tend to get more anxiety, tend to plan more, tend to like to be organized, wait for gratification longer. Present-based people obviously are in the present. Like people in the past tend to get upset easy, tend to regret things. Shoulda, coulda, wouldas, tend to be more depressed. So that being said, definitely go for it in January, but go in there with nothing to lose. Don't go with, like, oh, we had this great thing. Like you're meeting her all over again. And if it doesn't work out, move on. That's your cue for clarity. I hope that helps you. Please visit writemac.com if you've got a breakup story that you'd like to share and get my take on, or if you'd like to book a live coaching and get some further clarity on the situation. Thank you for supporting the channel.